Hey everyone, let's get our environment ready first. Okay, and hey everyone, welcome to my channel, and this is your girl ST. In this video, we're just going to talk about CKA practice question. That's CKA exam practice question because I recently took my certification and I passed. Despite the fact that I have difficulty with the PS browser, pausing and kicking me out, I was still able to pass the exam. Though I was not able to solve all the questions because it was remaining one question that I was not able to solve because the exam took me, I wasted 20 minutes, keep on kicking me out, bringing me out, troubleshooting, and it took me 20 minute loss. But I was still able to pass this exam. There is a video that I already shared explaining detail about that and even show you my grades. But anyway, I already have this is a series of the exam questions. This is question one. I have a video where I already did question one and I'm still gonna do question one right now. So the very first video that I share, I automated the environment. So this other video we're gonna do it manually to set the environment and we practice. But in the first video, I automated the environment before solving this question. Okay. So you're gonna be having this bundle. I'm actually recording this video. You guys that are watching it, you're watching the video for free because I'm sharing it on YouTube. I'm not getting cash keeping anything, right? Because I want all of us to succeed. But for you guys to encourage me, taking time creating all these folders, this documentation, so I can have material to share with you guys. It wasn't easy. It took me a lot of hours and days to come together with everything in this material. That is why I'm having this bundle that I'm going to be sharing on my website. And I will share the link of my website in the description box. So you want to click on the link, go there and grab your own digital copy. It's a bundle and it contains all of these files that you are seeing, all of these files. So I will take time to really explain about the bundle, but this video is not for me to explain much about the bundle. This video is for us to go ahead and answer question one again now manually. It means we're going to be solving question one manually. So let's get started. So this is where you see CKA practice exam answers. So we're going to click there, double click on the file. And once you click on the file, you're going to see all the folders, right? You see all the folders. So this is question one right up to 17. That's 17 questions here. And so we're going to click on question one. So once you click on question one, you're still going to see some folders inside question one, and you're going to see the README file. So let's click on the README file to see what the README file is saying. The README file is telling you see scenarios and answer files in these folders, right? So we're going to click cancel here and go back here in the scenario. Where once you click on scenario, double click, you're going to see the four files. These four files is for us to set our environment manually. Why the first video I make answering question one, CKA exam, we use an automated a script to automate the environment. Now we're going to do it manually so that you can really understand what is inside the script, right? So we have the namespace. You can always create your namespace using the imperative way, but we're going to use the declarative way to create our namespace. So we have our namespace, we have our config map, we have our deployment, right? So that is it, and we're going to be using KillerCoda to answer this. So let me bring this in one page back so we can. So we are in KillerCoda. The reason I'm using KillerCoda, you can use any environment, any cluster environment, right? But the reason I'm using KillerCoda is because it has like the similarity of the exam. You have the same feeling like you are using the exam because we're going to be writing our CKA exam using a virtual machine. It's a VM that you're using and it's kind of complicated. You want to be familiar. For you to be familiar, you want to practice with KillerCoda. It looks similar. For example, let's say if you want to copy stuff, we usually say Control C to copy and Control V like to paste, right? But in the exam, we don't use control. So you don't go and say, "Oh, I want to copy," and be using control. It's going to frustrate you, and that's why if your mind start becoming affected, the result is that you're going to fail the exam. So you want to have a stable mind, a focused mind, and stay calm to make it. So instead of you to say Control C to copy, we use the Shift plus the Control key plus the C key to copy, and we still use the Shift key, the Control key plus the V key to paste. That is how it works. So KillerCoda actually have that similarity. So let's open the playground and start practicing these questions. You're gonna click here. I will use the recent version. So we use that. It's gonna give us 60 minutes. And once you're practicing, before you want to confirm that, maybe you already have, first of all, you have to understand what is Kubernetes. You have to be familiar with the objects, the resources. What is Kubernetes all about? You have to familiar before you're going to take the exam. So once we have those knowledge, you want to approach the exam. So we are trying to practice those exam questions so that it will be easier for you to go there, write your exam, and end the certification. I'm not gatekeeping anything here, and I'm going to share with you how you're going to solve some of this question. So now we're going to click KillerCoda, and once we click, our environment has been opened, and we have 60 minutes. With this 60 minutes, once you're practicing, to make sure that you pass the exam, you want to make sure that when you're practicing with my script that I'll be giving you, you want to make sure that you can answer at least 13 question, 12 to 13 question within this 60 minutes. Once you can do that, it means you're passing the exam. If you cannot do up to 12 to 13, your speed is still low. You want your speed to be really fast, okay, because there is no time. So these are some of the tips I'm going to be giving to you. So let's start our environment. So we're going to go back to Kubernetes documentation. I'll click on yeah, Kubernetes documentation. Okay, let's go back because we want to set our environment before we can get started. So I also have some things to explain with the Kubernetes documentation. There is some options that we usually use the Control F to search for resources. But this function doesn't work anymore. I don't know if people are telling you out there. In the virtual environment, when you'll be using PSS browser, you will not be able to use the Control F command to search for resources. This feature has been removed. So don't go and waste your time in the exam and trying to say, oh, I'm trying to use the short form, the find command, but I'm not able to look for resources with this command. And you start troubling your mind, like, what is happening? It doesn't work. It has been removed. So there is no need for us. People in other videos, YouTubers will be telling you that use the find command short form so that you cannot use it because it has been removed. That's just it. It has been removed. So there is no need for you to practice using the Control F to look for resources in your practice environment. Like now that you're practice, there is no need because if you do that, you're like you'll not be able to manage your time. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. If you're using short, you can be able, once you practice, that's why I say practice is the key. Once you practice constantly, you will be able to know where those resources are, you'll be able to know where the deployments are, you'll be able to know where secrets are, you'll be able to know where services are. So when you keep on practicing, that's not going to be an issue. But let's set an environment first. So we're going to use the cheat sheet, right? So we're going to type cheat sheet. We need this cheat sheet because we want to enable autocomplete and also quick alias. So we click there. Once we click there, this is the very first thing that you want to do once you open your exam environment. Copy this script. This one's gonna help to automate the typing. Here we go, enter. We go back to the documentation and we click on the alias so that there is no need for us to be typing kubectl all the time because you need to type that command all the time and there is no need. It's going to be taking you too much time. So this is the only time that you want to be using things like shortcut, right? So you want to make the alias so that you use k instead of kubectl. So the time you'll be using to type kubectl this, you can use a k this, right? So that's going to help you. So you have to set that. First thing, that's one of the tips. So now, once we have this, we want to go ahead and start with the questions. So this is the questions. So I have this documentation. Everything is in the bundle that you're going to be grabbing. So you have this question. So this is question one that we are trying to solve. So question one reads, an NGINX deployment name NGINX static is running in the NGINX namespace. It is configured using a ConfigMap name NGINX config. Update the NGINX config to allow only TLS v1.3 connection. Remember, you are limited. You want to allow only the TLS-V13 connection. To do what? To recreate, to restart, and scale resources as necessary. By using this command, you can test the changes. So we have a command that is going to be given in the exam where you can use to test that to make sure that that your configuration was correct. So you're going to run this command, right? That will be given in the exam for you to test your environments. Okay. So they say as TSSV12 should not be allowed anymore. This command should fail. Are you getting this? This is a question that is out there where people are using to demonstrate. And this is a question that is there. But in my own exam scenario, the question that I have, we did not remove. Instead, we have to add TLSV12. We have to add it rather than removing it. So it was a reverse. But never the case, the idea is the same, right? Because imagine if you write the exam the very first time and you fail, you have to go for the second shot. Maybe you were having the option for you to add. In your second shot, you're going to have the option for you to remove. So be very aware. Make sure that you read the questions very well and understand the questions. Okay. So now that we are done with this, we are going to go ahead and start with creating our environment. And like I said, we are creating our environment manually so that you can understand. The other video that I make, I automate everything, and you have the script. You can go to my website, you grab it for a little token to help me continue doing what I'm doing. Okay. So now let's start by creating all these files, right? We want to create all this YAML file. We're going to click here and start with the VI. It's a VI 00. We are creating the file exactly the way it is in my file, just so the practice, but it doesn't mean it has to be like this. I'm just creating the environment for you guys, right? Namespace dot YAML. Okay, we click on enter. We copy the contents inside the file, so you double click. Is when you double click on it's going to take you to my code editor, which is Visual Studio Code. We want to go ahead and use Control A to select, Control C to copy. Remember, I'm doing this. This is not in the KillerCoda's environment. We are using my files, so that's why I'm using Control A to select and Control C to copy. But now, once we come here in KillerCoda, we are not using that options. It has the same environment, the exam environment. So we are instead using Shift plus Control plus V to paste. That's how it is in the environment, the exam environment also. So now, once you have that, this is a file. This is to create our namespace. So we have a YAML file. We can always create the namespace using an imperative command, not necessarily the declarative way, but I'm just doing it because of this file. We're going to save it and quit. Then we apply it. So applying it, we're going to say K, apply, dash F. It has been created. That's our namespace has been created. NGINX static has been created. So we're going to go back and open the next file. So we're going to go VI again. So I'll just recall the VI command. Then we remove this name. Then we change the name. Now we're going to create our configuration map, right? So the file is 10 dash config map dash base, right? That's the name, dash base dot YAML. We click on enter. Then we open the file again. We are setting our environment. That's why I'm doing all these things. So we're going to do control, copy, come back here, paste. Okay, I did something. Remove the block, skipped. Okay, enter, control V, we paste. We have our config map, you can see. This is the file. This is what it entails. You already have it. In the one I use the auto scaling, I explain much. But here I'm not going to explain much. So this is the configuration map because we're trying to set our environment. So this is just to set our environment. You are not doing this in the exam. Don't get confused. We are setting our environment so that it can build similar like an exam environment. So we are trying to create the exam, mimic the exam scenarios that will be able to answer or solve this question. So that's what we are doing here. Okay. So we're going to click on escape. Then we click enter. We just save this file. I'm not going to launch the config. I'm not going to apply it yet because we have some certain things that we have to do before that stage. So we are not going to do that. So we just have to keep that. No, go back. So we have to go again to the next file, which is the deployment file. So double click. So once we click on it, we click on it, come back to your KillerCoda. Let's create the file. We call this file and change the name. The name of this file is this is a deployment file. So we're gonna go 20 deploy .yaml, right? We enter. Then we copy this. I don't know why I'm having all this in my KillerCoda. So we're gonna copy it. Control A to copy, select and copy. Control C to copy. Then we come here and Control plus the VI to paste. So you can see this is a deployment file. This is how the deployment file is. We actually have our container here for the deployment. It's running on this port. It's mount here and it has a volume mount and we are using secrets. Okay, so that's our deployment. So we're going to go ahead and save this file. Quit. We are not applying this yet. We just want to create all the files. So the next file that we're going to be creating now is our service file. So we're going to click on this and we bring back the VI again. Then we change the name. So we are creating all of our files first. That's the first thing we are doing. We just apply only the namespace. So here we are going to say 30. That's the name of the file. Dash service. Okay. Dash service. I did not write that. Okay. We are good. Dash service space node port. This is just me naming it this way because to be consistent with my bundle that I'm sharing with you guys. So I'm practicing so that I can have that uniform environment. Okay. So we're gonna click on it and enter. Then we're gonna double click here so that we can have the file. So this is a file. We're gonna Control A, select, Control C to copy, then Shift, Control, and V to paste. Now we can see we have our service, and we are creating our service in NGINX namespace. So that's it. Then there's the service name, and that is the service and the kind, which is the type, is not port. Okay, it's running on the This is under this port 443. So that's how the exam environment scenario will be. We are just mimicking it. So we're gonna save and quit. Now we have all of our files created. We are going to go back to our documentation here. We close this. We're going to go back to our documentation here. These are the files. We already set them. We have applied just this. We have not applied the rest. The reason I'm not applying now because if you do, it's not going to work. We need to set our environment. Since we are using KillerCoda, we are mimicking the exam and it's not the same. So we're going to go where we have answers here to that folder. So once we add these folders, you're going to see this is the answer of this question 1. This is how your file will be. This is how your file will be in question 1. This is how it will be, but that's not what we are trying to do here. Let's go back, click on the README file, right? Each of them I have a README file for you guys so that you understand what step you need to take and some of the commands that you need to run. So now, with your README file, these are the answers, and this is what they said. I specified that TLSV 1.3 to apply only. That's what they give. But in my exam, we are adding, like I said. So remember that. Do not forget. So now, since we are using KillerCoda to practice, we don't have the open SSS. We want to assign a certification to ourselves. We have to self-assign a certificate for us to be able to test our answers at the end of the day. So then when we assign the certificate, we're going to create also our secret. So we're going to click here to copy this command. Are you seeing this? Copy this command, this entire command. Open SSL and the kubectl command. Copy those two commands. We click on copy. We come back to our KillerCoda environment. We paste, then we enter to run. So yeah, we just assign a certificate to ourselves, and we also just create our secret. So now our environment is ready. We can now go ahead and start answering the question. Remember, we already have the files, so we can go ahead. So we can go ahead now and apply the files so that we can have the exam scenario. Okay. So yeah, I said these are the command you're going to run. Kubectl apply dash f each of the files. So that's what you're going to apply. So remember, you cannot apply all the file without you having a namespace. So there has to be a namespace first. That's why we already execute the namespace command. So now we're going to go back and try to start bringing some of those commands, the files that we have. So this is our configuration file. So I'm going to go ahead and start applying them. So apply our configuration file by saying k apply dash f. We just create a configuration file, and you can say k. You can use k to examine your configuration. You can say k get cm for the configuration, the name of the configuration file, which is NGINX config. So I'm going to copy the name here. Copy. We want to see, paste here, and this configuration, this config map is in the namespace dash n for namespace, and the namespace is NGINX. So now I'm going to just type the NGINX namespace. The next static, let's go back. I'm not going to type it yet. Let's go back here. So this is a namespace, so copy it. You want to make sure that you learn how to copy. You don't want to type, because you might be thinking you're typing, but you're typing the wrong thing, and you will fail that exam. If the name doesn't match, it means you're doing something else. Imagine you're working on the question and it has this name, and you have your own name because you type it wrongly. You fail the entire question, right? So we want to learn how to copy them and paste. So we are trying to get, we just create our configuration map. So we are trying to say k get cmd, the name of the config map dash n in the namespace, enter. And you can see it. Our config map is here. It's running and has been created 78 seconds. So now we can go ahead and apply the other file. We want to apply our service first. Okay, so we're going to come back here. This is the other file. So say k apply dash f. Was I recording? Please let me check. I want to check to see if I'm recording. Okay, guys, we are back. I was thinking that I'm not recording. I was, oh my god, I'm going to walk like this without recording. So I just wanted to check. So we are back. So now let's apply this service. So we say k apply dash f, the service file, to create our service, and we have just created our service. We can verify that our service, let's say k get service. Okay, look at what I'm doing. Okay, get service dash the name of the service which was created. Let me just take the name of the service. NGINX static. Copy that. Paste here. Dash n. Dash n. The namespace is the same static namespace. And you're gonna see our service, right? This is our service that's been created. And the type of the service that we have is not port. And the IP address of our service as IP address. It's listening. This is the node port IP, and this is it is listening to this port. So that is created. We want to go ahead now and apply our deployment. So we bring back the deployment file. Okay, this is our deployment file. Okay, apply dash F. Our deployment is being created. You can see this is a deployment. So we can go ahead and also take test our deployment. Let's clear and K get deploy dash N. We can see set the name of the deployment. Even if you say dash N, if you cannot remember the name, you just say dash N and you will see the name. But we have the name right, and yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and copy it. That's the name of the deployment, copy it. We go back to KillerCoda. K deploy the name of the deployment dash N, the namespace, and let's check our deployment. You can see our deployment is ready, 1 out of 1, and it's ready. And that's the name of the deployment. So you can see our ports are here. When you can see get our port. But now our environment is ready. We can now start with the re-exam. So let's check this README file that I said that I have here. So once you see the README file, once you see the README file, we are done with this part of the README file. We have assigned our certificate. We have applied the scenario baseline environment, and now we have our environment. We are going now to the re-equation. So the re-equation, how you solve this question, how I solve this question. And if I was wrong, I wouldn't have make it, but I was not wrong. That's why I make it. So what I usually do, I don't use the edit command. I don't use the edit command because the edit command is going to throw you a lot of error in the exam. Once you use the edit command, you try to come out, it will say you cannot edit this file. It's going to be throwing you some crazy errors and it's going to be frustrating. Though it's kind of easy to use the edit command because it will help you prevent you from not using a lot of files. But at the same time, like I said, it's going to be throwing a lot of errors and it will save the file in a particular folder where it's going to show the Kubernetes folder that's going to save the file there. Then you can try to take the file and reapply. But why go through all the route, wasting your time in the exam? You don't have time, so just dump everything to a particular file that you're going to create. So now that is what I'm. That's my recommendation, and I feel better because if you use the other methods, it's not working. You'll be frustrated, and you don't want your mind to start disturbing. If your mind starts disturbing, and that's the time wasting that you're also wasting your time, you don't want that. So my best advice is for you to get this file and dump it somewhere. So we're going to get the configuration file that we already have. So let's bring that command. Okay, this is the command. So k get cm, the name of the config map, that is the namespace. Then now we're going to say dash o YAML. To get the YAML file, then we redirect the YAML file to this path. So now I already have the name of the file. So this is the name 10config tls-13.yaml. So we copy that file. That's the file. I'm sending it there. You don't need to. In the exam, I will advise you to use the numbers. But if should in case each question has about 3 or 2 tags, so you can use like the abbreviation of the name of the question that you have. Like, let's say that we are looking for configuration. We want to work on configuration. You're going to say like CM question 1, CM01, CM01.yaml. So you can name them like that so that will be fast, right? And so in case you flag that question because we're not able to solve the question and you want to come back to refer, if you have time to resolve the question, you can easily identify the file based on number, right? So that's what you'll be doing. So let's click enter. And now let's say ls, you're going to see our file. So this is a file, this file is here, and all the other files that we already have in this environment, these are all the files. And we have this file. So if we check our configuration, if we check our config map, this one and this one, they are going to be the same. But now we want to edit this one. So we're going to say, so let's say vi 10 dash config. Now, since we have a lot of config, they're asking if it's the base config or is the TLS one. So we're going to use the TLS config. That's what we want. We click on enter. And once we click on enter, you're going to see the file. This is how it's going to look. This is the exam. We are now solving the exam question. We are now solving the exam question, guys. Remember. So in the exam, you want to search where we have this SSS protocol. This is it. And we want to edit. We want to remove this because they did not want it based on this question. So we're going to remove this. But in my own case, I instead add this here. So no, what matter the circumstances, that's why I'm doing it like this. We have either you can add or you can remove, is the same. Either you remove or you add, it's the same idea, it's the same process. So yeah, this is what we are going to do. You might solve this question your first attempt and it was for you to add. Your second attempt, if you fail the first time, you want to answer the second time, it's maybe for you to remove or you add. So it all depends. It's not going to be like, oh, I solved my first question, it was add, and the second one's going to be add. They can change it. And if you don't read the question, you're going to fall into that trap. So my very first attempt, I passed. So I did not have that difficulty because I passed. So, but this is what is out there. So let's click enter so that we can edit our file. So we're going to go here and remove. In my case, I added instead. That's it. We just remove that, and that's not just it. We have to go back towards the metadata here, the metadata, and we're also going to check on the TSL protocol so we can also remove it from this section. If you don't do this, it would fail. You'll be having error because some people are crying these questions to disturb them. This is what you have to do. And I'm here, I'm not gatekeeping anything. I'm sharing with you guys everything that you need to do. You need to do that. And again, once you're done, you have to remove this timestamp. You don't need this timestamp. You have to remove it. So there's another easy way for you to edit command. You can just escape and come out from the insert mode and go to the command mode. Then what are we going to do? We use the cap V, and you're going to see the visual mode. So now we have the visual line. It means it's going to delete up plus the line. So we click on D, enter, it deleted. We come on the resource version and the user ID. We want to remove that also. So we use a cap command and V, select both line and click on enter. So now this is how our file should look. This is our file. But let me go back to my documentation, the bundle that I'm giving it out for you guys. So let's click here, the README file. Once we click the README file, right, you are going to see that in our README file, we have no, not here, not README. The answer here, this file, click here because that's the answer file. Let's compare our file so that you can see. This is the file. You can see the config map, its version, the metadata. You can see the name of the config map in this namespace. There's a namespace, and yeah, and we can see we have the SSS protocol. That's it. That's how it should look. So it's similar with our own, right? So we just go ahead and apply. So let me close this window. I don't want too much thing in front of me. So we're going to go ahead and save this file. W. We save the file, then we apply our changes. So I did not use edit command. I use the dump K. I'll make sure that I'm typing correct. So K apply dash F the file, and it has been configured. So now let's check the configuration again. This time around, we are going to see that we don't have the .v version V. We don't have the version 2. We don't have it. So let's go back and see. This is a configuration file. So let's get, here we go. Okay. You can see it's running, but let's examine the file. We bring back the command and we use the describe command so that we can examine it to see what we have there. So okay, describe config map. Okay, and once we describe the config map, you can see it's going to return this. We have it. That's what we want it to return. And once we check at the SSS protocol, you can see here it's just TLS.3. So now we are good. We're just going to go ahead So each time you update your configuration map, it doesn't affect, it doesn't apply on the deployment at once. So you want to make sure that you roll out your deployment so that the changes can apply. If not, it's not. So that's why we are going to roll out our deployment. So we use the K. By the way, before using that, you want to be fast in doing your stuff. So I'm going to bring the deployment command that we ran earlier. So this was the deployment in the namespace. So now we want to go ahead and reapply to roll out so that our changes this new deployment can now take the new config map other than the old configuration map. So we're gonna click here. Okay. So we say K roll out, restart, deployment, the name of the deployment, and in the namespace, click enter. And the rollout was successful. So if we check, our deployment will be running. So clear, we bring K, get the deployment back. Okay, that's one K, get deployment back. Our deployment is running. Now that our deployment is running, we want to test to make sure if it actually respect. Are we receiving error message when we run the TSV1.2 command or not? Because it has to fail. If it doesn't fail, it means you're doing something wrong. Okay, so let's go back to my README file where I have all those directions. You can have this bundle. Now, since we are using this environment, we want to make sure that the IP address that we have reflects, because we are using Node Port IP here. Maybe you might be using a cluster IP in the exam. So once, but it's not going to be an issue. But for our environment, we are doing it like this. But in the exam, once you have it like this, you just want to run the command and it's going to work. So now since I'm using this environment, I'm going to make sure that I set my node port, the new IP address that we have. Remember when we check the service that we created in the namespace, we can see the node IP and the port, right? So we're going to run this command to call it. So this is the command that we are going to run to call. So we're going to run the whole command. So that we just set both the node port and the node IP. So we are setting this so that we can test it and see if it works. So this is the node IP. Then we are calling for get nodes. We are using the patching command so that we can call. We'll have the nodes based on the node type that we have here. Then this is the port we are going to use. Okay, so we click enter. We have set that, so now we can test now the command. So we are using the coil command. This first command should fail because we are using this for version 2 v12. This command should literally fail. We're trying to resolve it with the coil command. It should fail. So when we click enter, it failed, and you can see alert protocol version. It failed, error. It failed. So when we run the other command, this one will succeed. If it doesn't succeed, it means your configuration is wrong. So click and copy. Then let's finger cross and let's see. Click enter, and you can see our hello TSL word. Can you see? That's what you have to do in the exam. Well, this is what you have to do in the exam. Our environment was successful and we tested and it's working. Stay tuned for my upcoming video where we'll be going to question 2, the series of CKA exams, and I will recently took this exam November, this same November, and these are the questions. These are short questions, short question, short question. It hasn't changed as of now, but should in case some of you are writing this exam after me and you're going in, the questions are not the same, come back and let me know that some of the questions. Tell me the question that came that was not in my series, and I'm going to try to troubleshoot and also solve those questions and add it in the series. But as of now, these are short question, and this is how I solved them, and I was able to secure the certification. Stay tuned, and you can grab this bundle that I have on my website. Grab it and practice, because practice is the key. Trust me. If you practice, you're gonna make this exam and you're gonna secure that role, that job, that your dream job that you want. Thank you all for watching. Love you guys. Ciao, ciao.
Solve on, let's build the future. One line of code, one dream at a time. From the cloud to the console, the rhythm flows.